Okay, it says that it's being live streamed, but Zoom shows an error. So let me just double check that this is actually being live streamed. Jeez. Okay, yeah, it is being live. Okay, hi folks. So I am obviously in the mountains again today because it's an amazing day. If you want to see what it actually looks like, then check out Twitter because I tweeted, I don't know actually if that made it. Yeah, it did. So I'll put a link to this in the Discord. If you have never been a part of Office Hours before, then hopefully you're in for a treat today. So Office Hours is basically a time every week where I give you some time to come and ask me questions. There's the Call Kent podcast, which I just have been just realized I haven't recorded a response in like 2 days. So sorry about that. I'll get to that when I'm not up here. Yeah, so you can ask me questions on the Call Kent podcast, and I actually prefer that if it's a question that can be asked over audio only. Yeah, the Zoom call is an opportunity to come and just chat with me and ask questions, share your screen if you need to like show me some code or whatever, and I can share my screen to give answers and stuff. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. So nobody has joined the Zoom call. I give priority to people who are in the Zoom. Typically people will join partway through. Yeah, people also ask in the Discord. And so when we run out of stuff to talk about in the Zoom, and then we go to Discord. So let me just share my screen so y'all can see what I'm looking at. Okay. Yep, there we go. And we'll start with, I think, yeah, I answered that question last time. Okay, I'm gonna answering this now. So animate transition between pages on React Router v6. On old one, you could wrap a route and switch in transition group and CSS transition from React transition group and give a timeout and an animation. But now the new API create browser router can't wrap any solutions. I actually don't know for sure what the proper solution of this would be with React Router, but I can show you that on the Call Kent podcast, we do have animated transitions between routes. So this animates, and that's a route transition, and this animates, that's a transition, that animates, and so on. I will give you a link to how I do that, and perhaps it will be applicable to what you're doing, maybe not. So let's see where, yeah, this is actually, it's all, yeah, calls TSX and outlet right here. So I am using Framer Motion, and it's awesome. So I will just grab that and give that link to you. Hope that helps. Something that you could do is create a reproduction of what you're trying to do, or like show me what you've tried, and then I can jump in and see if I can help figure it out. But it's hard without actually having code to work with. So cool. And then somebody asked me something a couple days ago. I just noticed it this morning on the context module functions. So in Epic React, we've got this exercise that is, let's see, it's in advanced React patterns and context module functions. So I'll just post a link to this so folks know. Here, actually, I'll just mention to Max, I'm answering this now in Office Hours, and I'll paste a link to YouTube. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. The first exercise of advanced React patterns from Epic React. I actually pulled this this pattern from the updated version. So if you look at the next branch, you will not find this here. And I replaced it with the latest ref pattern, which is a completely different pattern. It's just a newer pattern that I think is more useful. And yeah, the context module functions pattern. It's just very few and far between use cases for this, because it does add a fair bit of just extra stuff you have to worry about or think about. For like, I mean, it's not bad. Whoops, what did I just do? Did I just refresh? It's not bad. It's like, it's fine. Let's see, where is, yeah, so you passed increment and decrement, and they accept the dispatch so that you can call them here. And like the objective is to be able to have actions that are code split. And the only time that is really useful is when you have just a lot of code for these different actions. So like here in this example, we just have two functions that could be code split, and that would be cool. But like, that's really not, it's not a lot of code, and so it's not worth the effort. And so the only situation where this makes sense is if there is a lot of code. And I am starting to believe, or I think it's the case, that if you have that much code, you should probably just be using a state machine anyway. Like if it's really that complicated. And in that case, you may end up with less code, and the code splitting is even less of an argument. So anyway, I don't think that, I mean, there are use cases for this pattern for sure, but I don't think that this fits into the 90% case, which is what I typically need for recommending things. So anyway, all right, sweet. So we got a quick question from Siblis. Two quick questions. Do installing more dependencies affect React app performance? Not necessarily. Just installing the dependencies doesn't mean that it's going to show up in your app, but I'm assuming that you're including it in your app if you're installing those dependencies. Secondly, they need to be runtime dependencies, not just build time. So having a bunch of build time dependencies is also not going to affect the performance. But yes, if you have a lot of runtime dependencies on a single page, that can affect the performance of your application. But that can be taken to an extreme. You could say, well, then let's not have any dependencies. And now you're probably writing the same code that those dependencies have, because you still have the use cases for that, and maybe doing it worse than they were. So there is a push and pull on that, or like there are two sides to that. You don't want to include just a crazy amount of code for simple solutions, but at the same time, you don't want to build more complex solutions yourself that are less performant. So it's not an easy answer. So like, I guess the easy answer is yes, but not necessarily in a bad way. Okay, second question, where do you deploy your website backend server on which platform? So I deploy on fly.io, and actually, let's see if I can get this to work. Search, we're doing website 2021. There we go. I built a modern website in 2021. And yeah, user is that one. Sweet. Thanks, bot. So yeah, how I built a website in 2021. I talk all about the backend that I'm using and everything, like all kinds of things about my site. So take a look at that. Okay, we're getting another chat in here. And once this one is done, unless anybody else shows up, then I'm going to go hit the slopes. So happy to stick around for as long as people are posting questions and stuff. So we'll wait. All right, I have a question regarding more for beginners. The amount of framework and library can be overwhelming for beginners when they are starting to create full stack applications. Yeah, this is a great question. So I have a talk that might be useful. So it's called 0 to 60 in Software Development, How to Jumpstart Your Career. I would recommend watching that that talk. And then there's also, yeah, what is it called? It's intentional career development or something like that. Here we go, career building. I would suggest that. Yeah, what is the, no, that, oh yeah, also experience, or yeah, how to get experience as a software engineer is also a good one. And then my friend wrote a really good one, Dave Geddes blog. It was one of his first blog posts from years and years ago. Let's see. Oh man, maybe he, shucks. Okay. Mastery games, maybe he moved it over to that. Read article. Let's get over to the blog side of things. Does that know? Oh, it's spinning. I am in the mountains. Okay. Post. Oh man. All right, I want the post. Wow, he did have a lot. Deciding what not to learn. Here it is. Yeah, really good blog post. I would suggest looking at those things to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Good luck. Okay, so that looks like that's everything. Siblis is coming in with another question or a follow-up. While they do that, I just recommend also the Call Kent podcast. Great way to ask and get answers to questions even throughout the week. I do try to respond once a day, and so I will. I do have, I think, like 2 calls still in the queue, so I'll answer that soon. Yeah, quick answer here. Yes. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions on the Call Kent podcast or post questions in here, and we'll get to it next week during office hours. And yeah, just waiting for that. You're welcome. All right, we'll see you all in the future. I'm going to go hit some slopes. If it seems like I'm trying to end things abruptly, there are no questions, but I also am trying to get onto the slope. So yeah, so we'll see you all next week, and have a wonderful